Hi and welcome. So we are now finally starting off with our demo of Enhance, which is the framework that we've created for mentoring and coaching. Now, having said this, the best mentoring and coaching, of course, happens face to face. So most of our framework focuses on that. But we are also giving you an option to go ahead and get this done absolutely online. So if that is what you are keen on doing, you can do that. So in case you have any questions, you can post them here in the chat. Otherwise, of course, in the end, depending on how many people are there on this free webinar, we'll go ahead and do a Q&A session. Okay, perfect. So let's see. Now to start off with my presentation first, because obviously I need to have a PPT, otherwise there's no fun. Okay, so Insights. Insights is basically the overall learning framework that we have. And pardon me, I think I need to share my desktop. Okay. Yeah. So now Insights, Insights is the overall framework, the learning management system, and bits and pieces of it are the learning content management system, and of course, Enhance and other little portlets are there, which help you manage the learning, the talent development piece for your employees in a much better manner than a simple LCMS would do. Because just porting content on a portal and letting people access it, remotely in certain locations does not necessarily work very well. Okay. Now, what exactly is Engage? Engage is the framework wherein you have already gone through setting up your competencies. You're already aware as to what is happening with your employees. Where are the gap, especially with the leadership, your performance management systems quite well set up and things to that effect. And then we get into some kind of workshops, some very basic workshops to engage your leadership. So that is one offering that we have, and that's why we call it Engage. It's very, very basic, doesn't work alone. So if you say, do some standalone workshops, they will not have any effect besides probably just engagement. Okay. The next is Enhance. So how do you move into enhancing the competencies, into filling the gaps? Everybody, who's done things within organizations from a L&D perspective knows that on-job training works the best. There is absolutely nothing in the world which can say that, the on-job training will be replaced, or the face-to-face interactions between mentors and mentees and coaches and coachees would be replaced by, say, online learning or something to the effect that what we are trying to do right now, webinars or whichever way you want to call it. There is no replacement for on-the-job training and on-the-job learning, and that's why Enhance. It is mentoring and coaching. So let me just clarify what is the difference between the two. We presume, and there is a lot of literature written on this, so you can Google ahead and you can contest my claim if you want. But what I basically presume is that a mentor is somebody who need not necessarily be your boss. It can be your boss, that's absolutely okay, but need not necessarily be your boss, and especially if you are looking at developing your leaders, right? And of course, let me go to the next slide. And that qualify in the end, means that you qualify these folks and take them to the next level. So let me build upon that. Now, what we are basically going to do is, I'm going to take, say, about 10 minutes for the concept, 10 minutes to give you a demo of the application as to how it works and what all you can do with it right now, and 10 minutes for the Q&A. Of course, if there is no Q&A, I will take this opportunity to go ahead and maybe, show you a few other things. Okay, so now why Enhance? Engaged leaders, new insights and learnings, healthy discussions and organization culture. So that is what we are hoping to build, a healthy organization culture. Action and implementation based learning. So we don't want them to sit in front of a system and go through CBTs. That is not the aim of this framework. We want them to go ahead and learn from the actions that they can implement the learning needs to be implemented immediately. Otherwise, of course, the learning is lost. And the nascent competence gets developed into a talent, into a talent bed which you can actually utilize, in place of people just saying that maybe I can do this, or maybe I can get that done, or maybe I can manage a particular team in this manner, or maybe I can, get certain projects delivered in certain manner. That all is besides the point. What they really need to do is they need to put that knowledge into action. So that is what we are looking at. Then creative growth accelerated. This is a claim which I really can't substantiate with any data. So I am sincerely hoping that creative growth would get substantiated and accelerated within your organization, or within a department, or within a team, wherever you would deploy enhance. But I sincerely do not have any way of measuring this. There's a lot of people who say we can measure creativity, we can measure innovation. It doesn't necessarily happen. So in case anybody thinks it happens, please contact me and let me know. I'll be ready to pay you a handsome amount to let me know that. Okay, great. Execution excellence enhanced. You were executing things earlier also. Work gets done absolutely everywhere. There is no organization that does not deliver without frameworks like these, or does not deliver without talent management. So there's a lot of organizations which deliver, but the excellence of the execution, the daily working of things gets enhanced, gets done in a much better way. Fine. Let me just kind of toggle back to the chat. Perfect. Now let's look at the mentoring framework, and why we call it enhanced, that we've already kind of seen. There are functional projects that we want the leaders to take up. So there is a lot of stress on what is to be done in the next role. So that clarity has to be there. Now the enhanced role can be something that I, or any employee desires, or has been given to that employee, saying that this is your next role as part of a IDP or some kind of talent planning that is happening in your organization. Or the enhanced role is something that folks who go through, say, some kind of assessment or some kind of development centers in your organization get chosen for. So whatever that is, but it is definitely not the current role that you have been in. Having said this, how do you decide? So there's a lot of these administrative glitches that come up. How would you decide how long we've been in a current role, and how quickly should we go ahead and move into the next role, and things to that effect? Yes, those questions will be there. We'll address them. We will show you as to how that is to be handled. And of course, you are aiming for higher productivity. If you do not get higher productivity, then there is absolutely no need for getting into any kind of developmental activity with employees. I get a lot of these calls wherein people tell me, okay, let's get this thing done. Let's go for a one-day team building exercise and things to that effect. And this is what one client wants to do, or the other client wants to do. Those are silly things. People are just wasting their time. If there is some productivity enhancement that happens by going to, say, a hill station and doing some yoga over there and getting relaxed, then just call it that. Do not try and sugarcoat it in some fancy terms and say, okay, this is what we want to do. You just say we are going out for an outing, and it's just very common in most organizations that I've worked with, and even in organizations that I've consulted with. It is very, very, it's a sacrosanct thing. People go out, you go out for your social gatherings together, and that definitely builds up the team's morale, and builds up a lot of, cohesion within the teams. But let's not call it something else. So, that is one concern that I had. Okay, now let's look at engage one, and enhance one, and qualify. So just kind of representing it graphically so that you are aware as to what it is. Now, what exactly is the need for enhance? In most organizations, again, being very upfront, in most organizations that I have worked with or consulted for, there is a lack of structured succession planning. There is no structure around succession planning. So what usually happens is, whenever a time comes for promotions, and it is done like this usually, that from a manager to a senior manager, you probably get promoted in 3 years. Senior manager to, say, associate director, you maybe, say, take another 3 years. And by the time you've grown from a manager to associate director, that is 6 years of tenure within one organization. I don't know how many of you would actually do that. especially in our current circumstances. So succession planning has to be more immediate, has to be more transparent, has to be more visible. So nobody, okay, let me not say nobody, but I am sure 80% of employees within India or abroad or wherever in today's date would not necessarily wait for 6 years to try and understand as to what their next career move in the organization would be. So there has to be structured succession planning for even for people whom you think will probably stick around for 2 years or 3 years or whatever it might be. You need something in place. Okay. Then there is lack of experiential learning. Like I said, I have unfortunately been in organizations where people, there was a certain payroll manager who one day told me, "How come you've got a book to the office?" I was quite shocked. He said, "Are you going to read this book and give us some gyan by the end of the day?" I said, "Yes, I might just quite do it." Well, why do you have an objection to that? The person just couldn't explain himself, but I could understand the kind of culture that organization had was absolutely operational. So let's say I make an Excel sheet, I pass it on to the next guy, explain it to him what needs to be done in that, and that's what we play the entire day. I create an Excel, I give it to him, he gives it back to me. None of us has got the patience, the maturity, or the time to try and understand why are we doing this. Yeah, how can we experience certain things wherein we stop doing those silly things that we've been doing till date and do things a little differently to make our life comfortable. When we make our life comfortable, then the second question is, what do we do with our spare time, and how do we kind of justify it to our boss that we are sitting in the office? I don't want to get into details of that over here, but if you attend any of the sessions that I do on time and task management, I explain that to you in very clear terms, that most of us, again, I'll take a very conservative figure over here, 60% of leaders in today's date, whether it is India, abroad, absolutely anywhere, are scared to learn new things. Yeah. So having said that, coming to the third point, TNA and TNI basics. So you could do a TNA, you could do some task analysis, you'll have your IDPs in place. I sincerely hope so. If not, then we can definitely help you out for that. So once we have all these things in place, what we need to do is we need to follow that structure at least for some time before saying that this is too this is too structured. We can't think in a very, very structured manner. We would love to think out of the box. So that's the kind of things that I hear from L&D folks. But what they are doing is they are missing the very basics. So if you miss the basics, whatever structure you create on top of that will be shaky. So let's not do that. And this will definitely give you an organizational growth opportunity. So even if you are impacting a certain department, it could be absolutely any department within the organization. And if your organization is actually an organization wherein all the departments are interlinked, are symbiotic to a certain extent, definitely the entire organization's growth would get impacted. Next is the enhancement of current leadership pool. The current leadership pool is the folks who are occupying the chairs in today's date, whether they have been doing that for a while or they've just come in recently. But you don't necessarily want to keep on getting the work you get out of them in today's date. You want to enhance their current competencies, or you could turn around and say, no, I don't necessarily want to do that. I'll just go to the market. I'll just pay the highest salary possible, and I'll get I'll motivate in the most innovative manner, and I'll get the best talent in the market, and I don't necessarily care about any kind of enhancement of their current leadership pool or anything of that sort. But dear friends, you're mistaken if you say that. There's a reason behind that, and let me pause this for a minute and get back to it.